A very good morning, everybody, for Tuesday, the 28th of June. Low pressure continues to dominate with fronts sort of aiming towards us throughout this week. But for today, it should be fairly bright, it should be fairly clear of showers, unlike yesterday. But we're starting to see an increasingly southwesterly wind and it getting that little bit stronger than it was yesterday. Pressures for today are 1014 going down to 1013. So you can see that trend sunset is still remaining quite late in the day, but the sunrise is minute by minute. It's starting to creep that little bit shorter. The winds over our area, well, most likely south-southwesterly and potentially up to 25, maybe even 30 knots in the centre of the country. Good news is today, though, there is not too much in the way of rain. There could be the odd very isolated shower if these cumulus tops get a little bit too high. But yeah, the shower risk is a lot lower than yesterday. Public forecast reflects that too, with 18 degrees being the top temperature and brighter skies this afternoon once this cumulus congested all moves away. But quite strong winds, as you can see here, 16 gusting 25 in the afternoon. So yeah, you're going to notice that wind. Likely to see closer probably to 20 degrees at Lasham, I'd imagine today. Won't feel like that in the wind, but it's on the cards. Dew points floating around 6 to 5. It may, the cloud amounts may reduce later in the day. Currently at Farnborough, they're reporting few at 2,500, scattered 2,900, and that southwesterly wind is ever present, scattered at 4.5 for later. So fairly reasonable, actually. Oxford's reporting similar, and Brize Norton, as you can see here, indicating some shower risk this morning, but going away to be a nice day than yesterday. That's the Larkhill sounding from 7 o'clock this morning, showing it, as you can now see with cumulus out the window. It didn't take much to break the inversion low level. There's a fairly solid inversion sort of higher up, 3,000 to 4,000 feet. So yeah, the top of the showers should be fairly low, so hopefully quite a low risk of that today. But as you can see, once that line moves out on the right hand side, the air gets very dry high up, so not expecting to see too much in the way of cloud later this afternoon as the temperature continues to rise. Currently at Lasham, we have a temperature of 15 and a dew point of 10, just slightly capped by the amount of cloud we've got at the moment. And you can see that cloud on the webcam here, which is generally just floating about. Some of it's even sort of more spread out stratocumulus as well, embedded with that. But yeah, probably is already soarable. It's never that good if it's soarable this early. And David's forecast was fairly short, shallow Q to 4.5. Some top cover, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But yeah, this afternoon, probably mid to late, more sunshine, but southwesterly winds increasing and making things a little more tricky. Potential flight distance for today looks like that. I don't think it's quite the same as it was on Sunday when a load of you went to the wash and back, but good for a short cross country. As we look, starts at 10 or 11 o'clock. Around here, we should have bases quite easily to 12 or 1,300 meters, so 3,500 feet by around 10 o'clock, 10:30. And I reckon the cloud might hang around just a little bit longer, but this is showing blue to shallow Q by lunchtime in the region of 4,000, 4,500 feet, and that's probably where it caps. In the middle of the country and to the northeast, base is likely to be higher, maybe 5,500, 6,000 feet isolated in certain parts, but it will be that little bit more blue and the wind strength making it difficult. So if you enjoyed Sunday, you could go flying today, but you won't have any idea where the energy lines are because there won't be any clouds. As you can see with that front coming in from the west, won't really affect us today, might overnight, but certainly there'll be cloud starting to creep in, especially upper level cloud. So again, that's why it may weaken off a bit later in the afternoon, despite the clearer skies. Reasonable climbs, 3 knots away from where it's quite full of wind shear. But you can see that wind continuing to get up throughout the day. This predicted to be slightly weaker than it does say on the Met Office, but with a top temperature of 20 degrees, yeah, we're looking at cloud bases of 4,500 feet above sea level. Potential flight distance on sky sites. We're actually in one of the better areas, if I'm honest, but maybe a short task down to the south, up to the north might be on if you can put up with the wind. This does not predict it to be quite so good in the East Anglia region. Thermal strengths, well, they will be affected by the strength of the wind. Where you see the increased dots, I mean, the thermals are harder to center. So you can see in our area, it's not the easiest thermals, but it's better than elsewhere. You can see towards the end of the day, the front starts pushing from the west, so not getting to us until probably late evening. Cumulus cloud base during the day, again showing 4,000 feet or so. Might sit in our area for quite a bit longer, but by sort of 2-3 o'clock it drops to haze caps according to this. So not completely blue, but definitely shallow Q or less than that. And by the evening, looking fairly blue indeed. And I'd say we might even see a bit of a sea breeze effect if we're not careful. Just look at top level cloud cover. You can see later in the day the top level cloud cover sitting at 12 west. That's at 4 o'clock. No chance of rain really today in our area. And convergence wise, I don't think there's too much to show really. All the convergences are linked to the front coming through from the west, so does not show any particular signs of convergence unless the sea breeze sets up more organised. So a windy, reasonable trading day with some reasonable climbs, but a day not to probably go to the wash. No TAMs for today. This is the last day of the Glastonbury no TAM 22-23. So Glastonbury finishes at, well, it has already finished, but the helicopters haven't. But at 5 o'clock, that no TAM will disappear. Elsewhere, there's a no TAM in the Solent between sort of Thorney Island, Leon Solent and Cowes at about 800 feet, where a drone is doing some testing, but hopefully not going across there that low. Controlled airspace temporary at Kemble for Prince Charles or Camilla, number 2. That'll be out the way by 10:25 this morning. But yeah, somebody's going to Edinburgh, where the Queen is currently, I understand. Looking further up, 37, 39, 41. Again, that's just linked to the temporary CTAs up in that region and a big gliding competition at Bidford, which very interestingly, one of our pilots who's not in the competition but is flying horse can cause managed to get to 1,200 points in a day, which, bearing in mind the cap is 1,000, just shows how much better they did than the actual competitors. So well done to Steve on that. I certainly haven't seen the scoring system get broken like that in a long time. 32 is not relevant to us, and it's fairly quiet other than that. Finally, I think, yeah, I've already briefed that, that's good. So operationally, runway 23 today, if you're aero towing, please ensure you're on the grass, but have your left wingtip just over the tarmac of the runway, just so you're not too far out of the landing area. No jet movements as far as I'm aware currently, but we'll brief any a bit later if that does happen. So windy, but a reasonable day. So I'll see you on the airfield shortly. Bye for now.